Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. It is so rockin' to be back with you. Well, welcome to Saturday. And for those of you who are new here, Saturday is our Spiritualist Class and Seance. For those of you who may not know, I am a full-time professional psychic medium. And as a psychic and a medium, I practice the philosophy, religion, and science of spiritualism. And I was a member of the Spiritualist Church for many years, and have great love and belief in the teachings of the spiritualist movement. And a lot of you have been writing and said, Psychic Bob, we want to learn more about spiritualism, spiritualist thought, spirit guides, all of that. So that's why we do this class. And each week we have a little teaching from a spiritualist book, either the Spiritualist Manual or some other book. And right now we're doing a study of Sylvia Browne's book, The Mystical Traveler. Now, I'm not being endorsed by Sylvia Browne Corporation nor Hay House, who publishes this, but this is the book we're working on. And so I encourage you, you might want to pick up a copy of this, over at Amazon or eBay. They're not expensive to get a used copy. So anyways, we're going to continue with where we left off last week. We're on page, hold on, I can't see here. We're on page 50 of the chapter Dogma, Dharma, and Karma. We're on page 50 of chapter 4 in this book. So we're going to continue on with what Sylvia's talking about, okay? Right now she's talking about the whole issues of dogma, dharma, karma, how spirituality and religion mix or don't mix. So let's see what Sylvia has to say. And she writes, unfortunately, too many people equate spirituality with religion. Many go to church and think that they're spiritual for doing so, and indeed, some are. To practice your faith is fine and good, but you must do so with pure motive and intent. Whenever it becomes an obligation rather than a joy, spirituality goes out the window. Being devout is not just about going to Mass every Sunday or facing east to do prayers 5 times a day. It's really about being as much like God as you can be. And you don't have to follow any religion to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop here just for a second. What Sylvia's talking about here, I think this is such a good point. I see this as a psychic a lot. People will come to me for a private reading. And by the way, got to go on a side note, if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading, give me a call, 703-825-3929. That's my number. Put in your cell phone, okay? I'll get you on for a private session. We'll have more about that later. But I always forget to give my number out, so there you go. But what Sylvia's talking about here is that, a lot of people confuse spirituality with religion. They get into all following the rules, but they've left God out of the equation and their love for God. I used to be, years ago, involved with the Catholic Church. And no offense to any Catholics here, but I did know Catholics who followed every rule. They went to confession every Friday, Mass every Sunday, did everything tied to the church. I'm not knocking any of that, but if you were to talk to them as a person outside church, they were hateful, spiteful, rude, and aggressive. And I used to think, where is their spirituality? Where did it all go? I mean, they're at Mass on Sunday. Come Monday, they're backstabbing you and threatening you with a lawsuit. That's not spirituality. That's religion, okay? See, religion's all about codified rules and regulations. Spirituality is beyond that. And like Sylvia says here, it's really about being as much like God as you can be. And you don't have to follow any religion to do that. People will find that sometimes people say, gee, Bob, I heard you talking to an atheist the other day. They'll see me in the street talking to somebody, and they'll hear me having a discussion with somebody and say atheist. And I had this happen one time. Somebody came and said, Bob, Psychic Bob, I heard you talking to an atheist. Are you going to tolerate atheism? And I said to this person, I said, well, that person might be technically an atheist, but they have more spirituality than some of these people go to Mass every Sunday. And you know, it's really true, because spirituality is the core of our being. It's not about a rule or a regulation. And like Sylvia says, try to be like God. You know, what is God? God is love. If you live in love, you live in God. You know, this is why I get so upset. You know, when I see, for example, I went to a church once. It was visiting with some friends. They invited me to their church. And the preacher got up and started preaching against Buddhism. He said, that man, the Dalai Lama, is going straight to hell and leading everybody with him. And I thought, wow, first of all, a lot of judgment. But secondly, I thought, even though I haven't met the Dalai Lama, I know people who directly know the Dalai Lama. And I can tell you from what I know of the Dalai Lama, that man is so spiritual. It's amazing. I think that preacher could have taken a lesson from the Dalai Lama. Anyways, so loving God's what's important. Let's go on. Sylvia says, the real key to being a spiritual person is trying to live every day, here it is, in a spiritual manner. Going to church will not accomplish this, for it must come from within. In fact, Francine says that your church is inside your own body, soul, and mind, because God is everywhere. A lot of people claim to accept spirituality, but they don't live by it. Of course, we all make mistakes, but we readjust and walk the walk. If we don't, or if we fail to follow the two basic commandments of do unto others and love God with all your heart and soul, then we're not living the way every human being should. All right, let's just stop there for a second, because I think Sylvia brings up some really good points here. You know, this goes back to what we're saying. A lot of people go to church every week, but they don't live it. And then we have the other irony, is that people who've never stepped foot in a church have more spirituality than those who go every week. I tell you, I see this as a psychic. So many people come to me for readings. And, you know, sometimes I'll inquire, what is your religion? Do you have a religious background? I say, no, I don't believe in any of that, but I have a faith in spirit. And I find those people to be way ahead and more advanced than those going to church every week. Now, let me clarify. I'm not saying going to church is bad, or that people that go to church aren't spiritual, because I know many people that do go to church every week, and they are very spiritual. But I also know the opposite. See, she's talking here about, you know, Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, this is a teaching that is not only in Christianity, it's also in Wicca. You know, we have the Wiccan read, harm none, do as you will. So this is the same thing. Don't do unto other people what you don't want done to you. Don't go around hurting people. You know, don't go around being hateful. Don't be vicious. That's not living a spiritual life. And love God with all your heart and soul. Isn't that the best? You know, when we think about the spirit, you know, this is what I love. My spirit guides have told me that the word God is actually very limiting. That God, the divine, is actually, they call him in spirit, the infinite intelligence. I think that's profound, a consciousness of love that nurtures and reaches out with its broad expanse of mind and reality. That's the type of God I believe in. So we have to love that. If we love that, we're connected to it. If we're connected to that, we become godlike. You know, there's that old saying, you become like the company you keep. So if you can keep company with God every day, guess what? You're going to be like God. Or, as I like to call him, infinite intelligence. Think about that. All right, so let's go on. Sylvia writes, attaining spirituality is what is really meant by Christ consciousness. The Word made flesh is nothing more than our parents creating us, their children, as part of themselves and in their image. So what Sylvia's saying is that the divine brings us into reality. The Word made flesh. We are in fleshly bodies, but we share of our parents' essence, not just our physical. What she's talking about here is the divine parents, Mother, Father, God. In spiritualism, a lot of times they define God. It's very interesting because even though these days I'm a Wiccan, I first heard about the goddess concept in spiritualism. Now, they don't use the term goddess. They call it Mother God or Father God. That's just their terminology. But you know, that concept that we have a divine parentage and that we descend from that really brings nobility to ourselves, and it brings human dignity to every person. So every person in life, every person on earth that's alive is part of the Word made flesh. Pretty neat stuff. So if you think you're nobody and you don't count, you count to somebody. You count to the parents of above, Mother, Father, God. And you can claim your birthright. Here it is. She writes, she says, all of us are the Word of God, so to speak, which brought us into life so that we could glorify and learn. We can be messengers to neutralize the energy on this negative and temporal plane of existence. That is, we can be pillars of light to shine in the darkness. If we're sent to places and we don't understand why, we'll soon figure out that it's to plant light columns of spiritual knowledge. Ultimately, we'll realize that we are the light columns. Now, I really like that because, you know, when we talk about becoming a mystical traveler, a lot of you have been wanting to become mystical travelers. Being a mystical traveler, as we've mentioned earlier in this course, is that it means to give up your will, to let God's will manifest through you. And for a lot of us, that's a scary thing. But I can tell you, as somebody who became a mystical traveler 10 years ago, you're not going to be sad by that choice. And sometimes we mystical travelers do get sent on missions. We get sent to work with people we don't really like. We get in situations where we think, God, why am I surrounded by these crazy people? But remember, you're there for a higher purpose. And like Sylvia says, you're there to bring columns of light. And you are the pillar of light. And you know, I can tell you this is true because I had a near-death experience once, which that will be a whole different video. But I remember seeing my spirit body. And do you know what? I was made of light. And this to me is one of the most amazing mysteries, that when we talk about divinity, God, Mother, Father, God, Goddess, many people encounter that divine reality, say they are beings of light. And I can testify they are beings of light. But you also are a being of light. And so that power of the Word, the divine energy, the cosmic vibration is in you, and you are part of it. So never think of yourself as just nobody, can't do anything, woe is me. No, you are divine within, and you have a great mission. And for those of you who want to step into the Officers League, then you can become mystical travelers. Anyways, I think we'll stop there. That's a lot to think about, but you know, I encourage you, check this book out, Mystical Traveler by Sylvia Browne. You won't regret it, okay? Anyways, guys, we're going to now have a little seance. For those of you who are new here, I am what's called a trance channel, Trance, not trans with an S, but with a C. And then what that means is that I go into a trance state. And while I'm in that semi-unconscious state, spirit beings overshadow my consciousness and use my body to speak through their messages. So, you know, I never know what's going to happen. I hope they show up. I never know. I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had many times when the spirit people haven't been with me, but let's see what they have. I'm going to bring down the lights here, so I'll see in just a few minutes. So, you know, if you were in my house, I'd say, let's put our chairs here in a little circle, and welcome to our Saturday Spiritualist class, and now our seance. So hang on here. I'll be with you in just one moment. All right, well, I've brought the lights down, And I'm going to go into trance now, and hopefully the spirit people will come through. So anyways, let's just sit back and see what spirit has for all of us today. I'll see you when I get back. Oh, there you go. Hey, greetings to all of you. This is Fletcher. So great to be back with all of you. Well, I tell you, we got a lot of soul glow happening out there today. And we got a few spirit people who'd be wanting to pop in and send you a little hello. This is Fletcher. I'll be stepping out of the way. I'll be monitoring the medium's vibration. Fletcher, over and out. Yes, Fletcher, I believe I have attained the body now. I do hope that those of you present can hear me today. It is for us in the spirit world oftentimes a challenge. When we enter a medium's body, we must be very careful not to damage the nervous system. Our frequency in the spirit world is a very, very high vibration, much higher than any electrical appliance on the earth. Yet we dim our light, as we say, that we might merge with the medium's energy and be present in your physical realm. When you leave your body, you will exit the physical shell, and you will notice immediately a sensation of weightlessness. For many of the souls returning to the spirit world, their immediate response to such an experience is, I feel so alive, I feel so light, I feel so free. And it is true, the moment of death is not a terrifying experience. It is one of liberation. Many people say, but I fear death. But those who fear death only fear the circumstances leading to death. In the spirit world, we have great compassion for those who are making the transition, for those who come over here through horrific means such as a murder, attack, fear, great illness. We alleviate their suffering by removing them before the worst can occur. Many people look at horrible accidents upon the earth, such as automobile crashes or airplane crashes, and people say, oh, how horrific to be in a plane going down. Think of the pain of the impact and the suffering. But what you must understand is that in such circumstances, we of the spirit world remove the souls from the body. And so when the plane is on fire, and when the plane is hitting the earth, those beings who are crossing from the body are already exited from the body. You need not have fear. Your loved ones who have died in horrific ways have never experienced the actual destruction of the body. This trauma would be too great an impact on the soul. When we know that the soul cannot return to a body, we allow it to exit briefly and quickly. And this is why it's important to understand that do not look upon tragedy as the worst thing. The soul has been liberated. Now it appears in the material world that there's great sorrow and destruction in this process. But from our world, we see it as an act of liberation. And so if you have lost a loved one through a horrific means, such as a murder or horrific accident, know that the spirit world was with them all the way and led them out of their form before they experienced the true trauma of the destruction of the body. Human mind has two selves. There's the lower self, which is the material-based self, and then there is the higher self, which is the spiritual self. The physical brain is the middle ground between the lower self and the higher self. The lower self concerns itself with bodily needs, food, shelter, warmth, these sorts of things. The higher self concerns itself with the higher things, spiritual evolution, long-term goals, spiritual light, learning, knowledge, all of these things. These are of the higher self. The physical brain at times operates in the higher self as well as the lower self. It is, as we say, the middle ground between two extremes. Many earthlings today have forgotten their higher self, and they operate from the place of the lower self. They operate from the place that is fear-based. They view things as limited and have fear. This is why you see things such as greed appearing on the earth. When people fear that everything is limited, they hoard things, hoard money, hoard possessions, hoard control. These are all aspects of fear, aspects of the lower self. When you start to have spiritual awakening, you can rise above those fear-based aspects and understand the higher aspect. The higher aspect is that which says all things are ultimately well. All things are moving towards perfection. The divine is present in all things. These sort of thoughts elevate one into a higher state of consciousness. And if you wish to dwell in peace and in joy, you should do well to meditate upon your higher self. Some will say, Alfred, how is it that I would move into such a place? I operate always in the lower self. This is why you must call upon the spirit world. If you wish to have success in this arena, you must understand that your lower self must reaffirm its higher self-existence. And to reaffirm that existence means to ask for help. If you can have a small amount of faith that our world could help you, then we should be present to you. The truth is that spirit people are with everybody all the time. Each of you here today are being guided by a spirit person. The challenge is that many of you do not wish to hear it, or you have forgotten it, or you have fear of it. But we promise you that those of us who come from the spirit world will not do damage to you. We shall not harm you. We wish to be your allies. We wish to be your friends. And so if you would but begin today by saying, is there a spirit person who could assist me? Help me to let go of my fear. Point me towards the light. If you could ask even a simple request like this of us, it will be brought to you, our presence and our help. So understand that to move into the higher self only requires a simple request. There are teachers in the earth who would indoctrinate you in fear, and they would say things such as, well, to be right with God, you must do this and that. And they will give you many, many tasks to do. Some of you will wear yourselves out in exhaustion trying to please a man's words. Understand that it is not man that dictates your reality. It is infinite intelligence, the Godhead. You are not separate from the Godhead. You are united with it. But many of you have forgotten this truth. The very power and light of the divine radiates upon you and is within you. We of the spirit world only serve as reminders, way showers, if you will, along the way to understand that there is another world. It would do each of you well to walk out and look at the sky. Look at it during the daytime as well as the nighttime. If you look at the vastness of the expanse, and especially at night if you study the stars and can contemplate the cosmos, you will understand that your reality and all your fears are simply a minor part of a giant cosmos, a greater scheme. And if you will consider that we of the spirit world will help you to move through these problems of the earth, then your mind will be free and you will soar among the stars. Do not limit yourself by what could be or might be and let your fear control you. Let your higher self lead you and you will have peace. So I invite you today to call upon us. Ask us to help you see the cosmos. Ask us to help you see from the perspective of your spiritual self. Ask us to help you know that there is a reality greater than the material world. And if you put this question to us, we shall bring you an answer. Fletcher says there are others who wish to speak, so I must step now from the body. You may feel free to call upon me. My name is Alfred. Oh, there we go. Greetings, my dears. My name is Rose. Oh, it's such a joy to be back with all of you. You know, I was listening to Alfred's teaching, and I must say it is a most appropriate message for today. You know, when we of the spirit world look about the earth, we pick up the vibrations of consciousness. And the vibrations of consciousness on the earth today are generally those of anxiety, those of fear, those of depression. My dears, all of those negative things are not found in the spirit world. It is not human destiny to dwell in darkness and to dwell in fear. It is true that one comes to the earth and has challenges. But my dear, your life, your entire existence does not need to be a challenge to make spiritual progress. Some of you today think, well, I must always suffer to attain spiritual light. My dears, this is not accurate. The good Lord Buddha, who I always admired while on earth, and admire here in spirit, said that the middle way is the way of balance, of peace, of tranquility. And I must say he spoke words of truth, my dear. Starving your mind and body, making yourself an ascetic, though for some it may open doors of perception to the spirit world, for the majority of us it drains joy from life and drains the spirit. There is the other extreme that I must, as Alfred said earlier, must hoard things. I must hold on to everything lest I lose it. This is the way of the sensualist who indulges in extremes. Either way is not in keeping with the Buddha's teaching of the middle way. If you can balance between both extremes, not only will you have peace, you shall have clarity as well. Some of you have so filled up your lives, seeking and questing for the material world, that you've lost your connection to our world. Oh no, my dears, we don't say that with condemnation. We say that with love. We want you to have peace. We want you to have joy. But you must let go of your fears. How do you let go of your fears? Well, I think Alfred said it perfectly. Call upon the spirit world. Let us help you find that middle path, that road that leads to life, not only life in the spirit world, but a joyful and balanced life upon the earth. Some of you struggle with addiction. We have great sympathy over here for those who struggle against alcohol and drugs. Well, you know, we must say the earth, as we said, is a place of trial. And for some it seems overwhelming. And the need to cling to these things, to alcohol and drugs, is a human failing. Again, we do not judge anyone, but we do wish to help you to come back to the center. Either extreme, asceticism or overindulgence, as we said, put you out of balance with your true self, your higher self. And as Alfred has said, if you let the higher self reign, then you will be in joy, for you will walk in both worlds. You shall walk on the earth and be a master of life here, and you shall also have one foot in our camp, in the spirit world. And if you live between both realms, then you know true knowledge, have true knowledge of reality, and have true joy, my dears. So I leave these thoughts with you today. I ask you, let go of fear, let go of extremes, come back to the middle. And as Alfred has said, please call upon the spirit world, and we shall bring you our assistance. Know that you do not walk alone. There are countless millions and billions, actually, of spirit guides waiting to be of service. And so call upon us, and we shall come and help you. My dears, the power is starting to fade, and I do feel my own power fading with it. But we do thank you for allowing us to come here. And Alfred and I will be present for each of you if you need our assistance. Oh, do call upon us. Oh dear, the power's going. My dears, I send you my blessings. Please know that I will be with you and call upon me. My name is Rose. Well, Tubies, I tell you, I so enjoy getting to channel for you guys each week. Whenever I channel, the spirit comes through me. You can literally feel the power of heaven coming through. And so I just want to thank you for joining in on our seance. Listen, if you've had a great time today, please help me out. Like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, hit subscribe, be part of our channel. Also, if you get a chance, pop over to my website, www.psychicbob.com, and check out my books. I am a published author. This is my book you guys might like, Messages from Rose. It's tells about my work as a psychic and a medium, working with my spirit guide Rose. I think you'll like that. We also have Ouija Mysteries, the spirit board seances. We've got Psychic Bob's Book of Spells and Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom and a few others. So definitely pop over to my website, check out my books, and if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading, give me a call. 703-825-3929. My link for my phone number, website, all that will be below. But yeah, reach out to me. I still have some openings this upcoming week for private sessions. You're going to say, well, what's a private reading like, Bob? Well, private reading is you and me one-on-one. And we can do that by telephone or by Skype or Google Hangouts. And we sit down, we cover everything, past, present, future, cover your spirit guides. I bring messages from deceased loved ones that come through. We look at your life mission, your themes, your karmic links, and I answer all of your questions. So we cover a lot of stuff, and I'd love the chance to sit down with you. So if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading with me, give me a call, 703-825-3929. You can read more about that over at my website, www.psychicbob.com. Well, guys, I love you. Thank you for being here. Listen, keep it here at Spirit Channel. We always have more coming. Tomorrow is Sunday. We're going to have the witching hour, and we're going to have our Beltane ritual. So it'll be back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific. For those of you in Europe, 1 a.m. London time, 2 a.m. Paris time, and whatever zone you're in, check it out. But we'll be doing a live show. We're going to have a Beltane ritual. And pop over to our Facebook page for Order of the Purple Cord. We have the ritual posted over there. You guys are best. I love you. Sending blessings to you. See you back here tomorrow. And until then, may all of you always blessed be.